Sports is live.
Hey guys.
We said we were going to do it. We did it. We are streaming on all major platforms. So please do like, share, subscribe. Before we get started, if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the hottest topics when it comes to our Florida teams with a little bit of what's going on around the NFL.
Okay.
But Johnny Cinco, I want to start with a disclaimer. If you're watching this, let me be very clear. This is Florida Man Sports. That doesn't mean that we're going to, oh, everything is beautiful and wonderful. We're going to give you the truth and we're going to give you the Florida Man perspective. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. At the end of the day, we're providing sports content through the eyes of the Florida man.
Let's go.
So go ahead and get started, Chris. What are we talking about first?
Yes. And usually, again, if you do watch us, we like to start with our Jags, with Miami, and with the Bucs, with the Florida teams first. So let's kick it off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Johnny Cinco.
Okay.
Latest news right now is Gabe Davis. So he got cut.
Yep.
Good, bad. What are your thoughts on that for
Am
Jacksonville?
I gonna get my flowers, Chris? Because if you guys have listened to the show, as soon as this dude was picked up, I said, "What kind of this is a trash pickup." Now you praised this pick like this guy was, the second coming of Jesus Christ. There was like, "Oh, Gabe Davis is like going to be amazing." I'm like, no, this guy had mediocre numbers, decent with Josh Allen. Now you expect him to come here and be the number one guy. Now Calvin Ridley, I understand. Calvin Ridley, coming off in a suspension year, had a proven track record of several thousand-yard seasons. I understand that move, even though it didn't work out. I understand why they did that. Now, with Gabe Davis, it just didn't. I mean, his best seasons was in 2022, 20 receptions, 230. I mean, this was this best season, but right now the last season he was in 20 receptions, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns. This was last season for Gabe Davis. That's in. We expected that from Gabe Davis in about 2 games, and that's what he gave us the entire season. But his best was the 7 touchdowns, 839 yards, and that's what one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the league. So I wasn't expecting much from Gabe Davis. I didn't understand the pick, and I guess I'm glad that at least Jacksonville went ahead and said, you know what, we're not going to go ahead and draw this on. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and remove the Band-Aid. Let's go ahead and move on, cut ties from him. We recognize our mistake and move on from him.
Well, I think we got to back up a little bit before you say give you your flowers. Gladstone has been saying over and over how he's trying to bring in people that are going to lift up the organization just by being who they are. And if you look at his track record, forget about the stats for one moment, which I'll talk about.
Okay.
From a behavioral standpoint, everybody just loves Gabe Davis. Everybody talks about how he's a locker room guy. He's somebody that you want to be with and want to be part of the team.
Yeah.
No, as far as being part of the team, you know where I'm going with that.
Okay.
And so ultimately, he's got a 5.9% drop ball rate, which is excellent, 16.2 yards per catch. So now that guy is not worthy of being on that roster. To me, it's a questionable move. I definitely disagree with it. But you
How do you disagree with it, Chris?
Because you and I have seen different on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's about production,
since
bro.
Gladstone got started. I disagree on the draft. Check. I disagree with cutting Davis. Check. And I disagree with free agency. So right there, those 3 things right there for me, Gladstone. That's strike 1. I want the Jags to do well. I want us to win games. And if you're talking to me about having a character guy on your team, Gabe Davis is one of them. You dropped the ball.
You didn't pay him to be just a character guy. I'm perfectly fine with character guys. They're important. But we all have been around sports, and you deal with headaches, character headaches specifically, if you produce. Like I said, 20 receptions, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns
and
last year.
he got injured. It takes 6 months to
Yeah,
heal.
say whatever.
It takes 6 months to
At
heal.
the end of the day, you can be you can be a terrible locker room guy,
Okay.
and you produce, 1,400 yards. You have 100 receptions. You have 10 touchdowns. They're going to deal with you. Pittsburgh would
I'll leave it here. I pray the Jags do well. I hope that we do well. But if we don't, or we have a 500 or less type of season, and Gabe Davis goes off, then that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to give you your flowers yet. Okay. I'm saying let's take a wait and see approach. I see Gabe Davis maybe landing with the Jets. That's a team that needs a wide receiver. Maybe he's an option for them.
Who doesn't need a wide receiver is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we'll get to that. But I get what you're saying, but how many wins do you project for Jacksonville this year?
Yeah, let's talk about that, right? The draft is done. Now free agency is done. I had 4 to 5 wins.
4 to 5
after free agency. I want to remind people what I said.
Jesus.
Okay, the MGM has them at 7.5 wins. I had them at 4 or 5 before. Now they're at 7.5. For me, Johnny, You got the Colts, the Texans, the Titans. You look at the draft. All of the teams improved. One got their number one quarterback. The other one got two great wide receivers. And then the Colts overall had a very, very good draft on top of the tight end. So for me, Johnny, again, this is Florida Man Sports. Always going to keep it honest. I've got them. I'm going to take the under. I've got them at a little bit more wins. I've got them at about 6-7 wins, which if I'm right, Johnny, and it is 7 wins, we should be happy with that. How many games did we win last season, right?
Yeah.
4. So 3-game improvement, that's a good sign. We're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that because at the end of the day, I understand what you're talking about. I'm much higher on Jacksonville with their draft than you are. I know that you looked at that draft and you wanted to throw up. For me, that wasn't
needed
really,
to address defensive tackle.
that wasn't really the case here. We'll get to other Florida teams and things they needed to address and what they didn't do. But Jacksonville, I think, is on the upswing. It all comes down to Trevor Lawrence, Chris.
Absolutely.
Trevor Lawrence has been a huge disappointment. Now, I can't put it all on him. The coaching carousel that he had to deal with, the mess he had to deal with. The guy still has shown flashes, shown things that he can't. He led his team to the playoffs, won a playoff game. So the kid can do it. He hasn't had necessarily. Is it the talent they provided him that's giving him? Is it the injuries that's happening? Is it a combination of all that? Is it the coaching? Who knows? But my faith is going to. I'm going to put my faith into Trevor Lawrence this upcoming year. I think that with Travis Hunter, which I know that you're saying that he's not, Travis Hunter is going to provide better numbers than what Gabe Davis provided. There's no way that doesn't happen there.
I mean, the floor is kind of here when somebody was injured and they didn't do what they needed to do. But okay,
you want to sit here and blame the injuries? Like when he was playing, he played in 10 games. In those 10 games, he wasn't very good. Like I mentioned, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns in 10 games. Okay, that's a 2-game production for a number one. He did that the entire season.
So how many wins are you giving him?
I am giving the Jacksonville Jaguars 10 wins this upcoming year. I do believe in Jacksonville. Wow. So if you're going to take the over, whatever Vegas is giving you, take the over on it. Trevor Lawrence is make or break. It doesn't matter for Jacksonville because they're stuck with him no matter what because of the contract. But it's make or break.
I don't want to make it sound like we're giving, like I'm giving bad news, he's giving good news. Look, ultimately, I stand by what I said. A 3-game improvement on the season. I would rather see growth like that than another 3-4 games the next season, and then now you have a great record, right? I'd rather see those type of steps. Either way, you're going in the right direction. So
I understand what you're saying, but like you're these baby steps that Jacksonville fans are tired of those. So it comes down to one key difference between you and I, Chris, is that I believe in Trevor Lawrence and I believe in Travis Hunter.
Do you believe in the coach? Do you believe Duval?
That's a question mark,
right.
but still.
And for me, it's do I believe in Gladstone? So again, some more question marks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Johnny Single, let's switch gears here. Florida Man Sports streaming on all platforms. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Go Phins. I don't know how to word this. I'm just going to say it, right? With them drafting a quarterback in Quinn, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it. Yours, all right?
Yeah, yours.
Is there going to be any type of quarterback controversy? I'm going to put it lightly there. Or is this just Tua's show?
No, come on. People are talking. I get it because you have to kind of create some kind of drama. Ours is a 7th-round draft pick. Let's calm down. It's a great story.
But Brady was drafted 6th.
Listen, it could be a great story. I think the better story is Zach Wilson coming back. If anything happens with Tua, then Zach Wilson, is he going to revitalize his career? This kid was supposed to be, a top pick. He had an epic collapse with the worst franchise in football, in the New Jersey Jets. So can he, if anything happens to Tua, can this kid revitalize it? I mean, for Ewers to go ahead and actually go ahead and play, he needs Tua to go down. He needs Wilson to go down, and then he's going to go ahead and get a shot. It's possible. These things can happen. But.
So I think you kind of nailed it a little bit there because it's not really for him to take Tua out or to be QB1. It's really to be, can he be QB2, right? So you're absolutely right about that. And I think he can. I mean, in my draft board, he was a top 5 quarterback in this draft. Do you agree with that sentiment or no?
I mean, I get it. It was the quarterbacks in this draft was pretty weak. So saying he's at top 5 doesn't mean that he's elite. He's an older quarterback. It's something he's been around. I saw a lot of Texas football, the SEC football. He has his experience there, but I'm not ready to say anything because at the end of the day, Wilson's been in the league for a few years now, has that experience. You're telling me this kid's going to go ahead and go ahead and jump Wilson.
So
I don't know.
that is my point, and that's what I want to see for the Dolphins, right? I want to see Quinn battle it out with Wilson. I want to see that, and if he has a great preseason, Johnny, if he has a great preseason, well, that's great for the Dolphins because I don't know that we want to carry 3 quarterbacks for the whole season, right? So
Well,
maybe we trade, maybe we, I don't know about cutting Zach Wilson, we just signed him, but it would be nice. It would be nice. I'll leave it with
no,
this.
we're gonna have 3 quarterbacks.
It would be nice. It would be nice if he does work his way up and become QB2 to be like, hey, look at this guy, right? This guy who was supposed to be a top 5 quarterback in this draft. Look at him during camp. Take Zach Wilson's job. That will say more about him than it does Zach Wilson, in my opinion.
Listen, I won't say never. Well, I did live through seeing Flynn, who signed a $12 million contract, with at the time was a big deal. And then they draft Russell Wilson,
Right.
a 3rd-round quarterback, short guy, and they said, I don't care. I know we just spent $12 million on this guy. I back up for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I'm still going to go ahead and start this unknown kid, Russell Wilson, and it worked out for the Seahawks. So it's possible, but I don't see that happening with Miami. At the end of the day, they have their quarterback. I think they signed Wilson to be his backup. This is a 7th-round pick. They're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. So the 7th-round pick is costing you $1.50. So it's not costing you much. You're going to keep them on board. And 2 of its, history of injuries, they're going to go and hold on to 3 quarterbacks.
Sweeping declaration: Quinn's going to be the QB2 after preseason.
That's crazy.
But it's nice to see the competition.
That's crazy.
We did it for the Jaguars, Johnny. Let's do it for the Dolphins. The house says 8.5 wins for the Dolphins. Are you over, under? Where do we see them?
Again, I'm over. I have, the Miami at 10 wins. I like the moves they made in the draft. They filled a lot of holes they needed to. I believe Tua is going to be healthy. So it comes down to that, guys. If Urs is in the mix, if different things we're discussing this, then it becomes a situation where the Miami's fallen off and McDaniels is fired or close to being fired, and that's in the mix where it's Wilson, Urs, what's going to happen here, what we're going to see here. But as long as Tua's balling, as long as Hill and Waddle and the pieces they picked up in the draft do the things I think they're going to do, I have them at 10 wins. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to go ahead and split with the Patriots. So the Bills, good luck. But still, they're going to get their wins. I have the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, at 10 wins.
Yeah, prior to the draft, I had 10, 11 wins, and the Bills got better. The Patriots, they spent a lot of money.
Better.
They spent a lot of money.
They
spent a lot of money. Doesn't mean they got better. And the Jets, they got the quarterback that they think is going to win them games.
He's not.
I'm gonna say Florida man is unanimous here. I agree with you 100%. It's the over. I still stand by the 10, 11 wins. I don't know we have enough to win the division. I went as far as a few months back to say that we were probably going to compete. 10, 11 wins, I think now maybe get you into the wild card, hopefully. But the Dolphins are definitely 10, 11 wins this year.
Yeah, I'm not betting against Josh Allen in the AFC East.
Right.
That division goes through Buffalo. We wrote them off much like everybody else last year,
right,
and we saw what they did. They should have went to the Super Bowl, but hey, I'm not going to go ahead and overstep them. It's the Bills division until proven otherwise.
To prove another, I like that. Let's move on. Florida Band Sports. We are streaming it on major platforms. Johnny Cinco, and let's jump to the Tampa Bay Bucs, where the question, and I don't know why, but I kind of know why this is a question. The wide receiver department. Mm-hmm. Are we a little too deep in that department?
I think you know the question. You know the answer to that, bro. You have 12 wide receivers in the receiver room. It is insane. It was a disastrous draft for Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay super fans.
It's Florida Man Sports. What do you?
Well, Tampa Bay specific super fans will tell you how it's such a luxury to have all these options. Not in that position, guys. Wide receivers are known to be selfish pricks. That's kind of what the position for the right reason demands.
That's terrible.
And you're going to go ahead and have your first overall pick be a wide receiver. You see Evans, future Hall of Famer. He's going to get the balls. Godwin, they went ahead and re-signed him, paid the money. You think he's going to take he took less money to stay with Tampa to take less balls? No, he's going to go ahead. He wants as many as possible. McMillan, that's on you. McMillan, who had the breakout season, and now he's going to take a step back. It doesn't make any sense for the moves that they made. Yep. This is a big problem. And Tampa has been, they could have addressed so many different issues that we've talked about, the positions they needed to fill, and they decided to go ahead and take a wide receiver. They set this kid up to fail. It's just going to be a mess. I don't like anything what I see on the roster for Tampa Bay. Let me guess, Chris. What do you think?
Well, this is why you watch. Hopefully, you watch Florida Man Sports. Is that you are going to get two perspectives on all of our Florida teams, and on the outside, to your point, I could kind of see that, right? There's a big there. We started with 8 wide receivers going into this season that were names that we know as Buck fans, right?
Okay.
And so just real quick, bear with me here, right, on those receivers. Randy Moss, he loved Palmer. He called him the steal of the draft. I'll never forget that.
How'd that work out?
Shepard, you got the Mayfield connection. This is all helping your point that we have a lot of already incoming receivers, right? And then to your point, McMillan was a breakout stud. Even Ryan Miller, Raheem Jarrett, one is 6'2", one is 6 foot. So there's already plenty of talent there. So then the question is, and that's what we're talking about here, is, well, why did we grab not one but 2 receivers in the draft when we could have addressed other positions, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, you ready for the answer?
Let's hear it.
In Jason Light, I trust.
See, I knew
I
it.
will not
I
listen.
knew it. That's not an answer.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm
my
just
God.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I am going to throw an if. If my biggest concern during the draft was the offensive line and linebacker, right? I trust Jason Light and what he's doing as far as his decisions go, but if we can't stay healthy on the offensive line, we have an elite offensive line, Johnny. We just don't have a lot of depth at that position. So that's what I feel like we should have addressed in the draft. So I'm giving you credit in the sense that we draft 2 wide receivers. So as long as that is okay this season, we are totally okay with those 2 wide receivers because Johnny, I love Evans, I love Godwin, but let's be honest, a year from now, that's done. The Godwin-Evans duo is done, Johnny. We got to think about the future. Tell me I'm wrong. And so for that reason alone, you take the wide receiver that you think is a wide receiver 1, and he's already in the depth chart as the 3rd wide receiver. So far so good. I'll take that.
If this was next year,
I'll take that.
If this was next,
you can't say that.
If this
you
was
can't say that.
This was next year, and you had the opportunity to pick up Smith from Ohio State, I understand that. That is an elite. Elite. No,
you don't want to say about ifs, right?
No. What I'm talking, I'll give you an example. That's if a player of that caliber falls to you, even if it's not a position you're looking for, he's the best available player. This wasn't a situation where the best available player is available, even though it's not the position you're looking for. You got to pick him up because this guy's a huge future Hall of Famer. This guy's not. He's not the best receiver on his own damn college team, and you picked him up with your first pick, and in a position that you do not need. Okay, don't talk to me about Jason Light you trust, because this makes 0 sense.
This is the guy that gave you Bucky Irving. Are you kidding me?
0 cents. That pick made sense. This makes 0 sense. So I don't like anything I see from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for me, this upcoming year, I have Tampa Bay at 7 wins. So it's time they continue to run it back, and then they went ahead and okay, let's go ahead and revamp. They picked up a toxic player in Reddick to go ahead and be like their pass rusher, edge rusher, which I don't have any confidence in. They go ahead and draft this receiver, 2 receivers in a receiver room that's overflowing. So I think this is the first year that the premier Florida team over the last several years is about to fall off, and there's going to be somebody. Jacksonville, Miami is going to take over the reins of Tampa Bay Buccaneers being the best Florida team this upcoming year. Tampa's falling off this year.
So we went in the Baker Mayfield. Just hang with me, folks. Hang with me. He's a little rolling here. The Baker Mayfield era, we won 9. Then last year we won 10. And then this gentleman here wants you to believe that we're going to go backwards.
That's what I do believe.
Yeah. Well, here are the facts, and here's the reality. When you look at the division, we just had the breaking news that we will talk about Derek Carr and the Saints. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got the Falcons who, not this draft, but last draft, didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. You guys know how I feel about Raheem Morris as a coach. That's the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have the Panthers, which we own Canal, so we got real estate in his brain there for another season. So you're saying that
that's where you're going with?
No. So you're saying that knowing all that, you're giving the Bucs going backwards at 7 games.
Yeah,
sir, you should be ashamed of yourself. The producers, I think we need to do something because that is just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So bottom line is not about being a Bucs fan. Bottom line is we went 8, we went 9. This season we're going to go 10 games or more in that division. 100% we're winning the division if we can stay healthy. If we can stay healthy, that's the kicker. Again, offensive line. But shame on you for saying 7 games on the Bucs.
No,
when all we've been doing is drafting great and people want to play for us.
The thing is that you're saying things that a super fan is going to say. They did not draft great. You're saying players want to play for us.
They do.
No, you made moves on players that have questionable. You were so high on Gabe Davis, on what a locker room presence. How dare you leave him alone? And then you bring in a super
you
toxic
keep playing with
player.
me. I'm gonna talk Jason Light to bring Gabe Davis.
You
onto
bring
the,
in a super toxic. Yeah, I won't be surprised. Another wide receiver.
keep going.
A
We'll make
super toxic player, and you think that, oh, this is going to go ahead and work out here. It's not. I don't like anything I've seen.
I won't judge Reddick on one season with the Jets.
I don't like anything I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the offseason. What I think of Reddick, like if from a baseball reference, if you guys are looking and seeing what's going on with Devers.
Oh God.
And Devers is just being a selfish player, like and with the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
So it's the same thing here with the Jets. Like, no, dude, and the Jets, how are you going to go ahead and pick up this kid from the Jets when he's obviously shown that he cannot? He's shown that he cannot perform. He's not a good team player. But it's everything is not going. Dude, this Tampa Bay team is going to have a collapse.
If you remember, or those, first of all, we've been doing this for 2 years. This is the first time that we're actually going live, and so I'm going to say this: that for those of you who are new, we have, I'm very happy to say, have called finals. We've called championships over the last couple of years for baseball, football, and basketball. So I'm very happy about that. And so we have to be very careful here because I'm going on one side, you're going on the other side. Obviously, one of us is going to be right. I find, though, if you continue to watch, that I'm more right than he is. So, in this case, the Bucs are going to win the division.
You're gaslighting SOB. Huh?
Florida Man Sports, always streaming on all platforms. And Johnny Cinco, let me just hit you real quick with the latest NFL information. Let's talk a little bit about Pickens going to Dallas.
Okay.
Is it good? Is it bad? And then I'll talk a little bit more about the draft picks. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, and Tomlin, I trust. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing.
You literally just bit in light, I trust, and now you're going to say...
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Go ahead.
Tomlin has a proven track record.
Go ahead.
He knows when to go ahead and let go. Claypool, he thought he was good, got rid of him, went to Miami, disappeared. AB was an all-time great. They knew, okay, this guy maybe is going to go completely insane. Let's get rid of him. And he did, and he fell off the cliff. He had some success, obviously, with Tampa. But at the end of the day, he fell off the cliff and went completely insane on there. Deontay Johnson, the list goes on and on and on with Steeler receivers. The Steelers and Tomlin, they know when to get rid of somebody. Pickens, from the reports I read, that this guy, in his mind, thought he was Jerry Rice. And the numbers didn't really support that. In the 3 years, he averaged 947 yards a season, 58 receptions, 4 touchdowns. Now, serviceable numbers, but not numbers that warranted that attitude, that everything you get from wide receivers, why you don't keep 12 wide receivers, because you have 12 guys like this is going to cause a problem. So they knew when to go ahead and be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them and take them to, of course, the biggest chumps that there is, the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, first of all, pump your brakes because we may have some Cowboy fans here. Number one, if you're a Cowboys fan, give yourself a pat on the back because your team has had a very good offseason. Excellent draft.
Oh, my God.
Excellent draft. Joe Milton III is going to be special. And here you get a 6'3", 1,000-yard producing receiver who's 24 years old for a third-round pick and then some later pick swaps. Give yourself a pat on the back.
He had 1,000 yards one season.
This guy, sometimes if you listen to this episodes, he goes, you got to make money to spend money, make whatever he likes to wrap around. I don't care how you say it. This is one of those risks that is worth taking. Kudos to the Cowboys for realizing that Jerry Jones, it's that time. So you got to win right now. And it helps out Lamb. It helps out your formation. It's going to help out your running game. You picked up a couple of free agent running backs. So, yes, this is an excellent move for the Cowboys. It's a risk that is worth taking. A wide receiver, and the 99% of them, I should say, there's always going to be some type of, they like to talk, they like to have fun, they like to live it up, whatever you want to. Look at your boy for Jacksonville. During camp right now, having a good time. Travis Hunter, nothing wrong with that. That's how they are. That's the behavior, right? Maybe a change of scenery is good for Pickens, and that's what I think is going to happen here. Kudos to the Cowboys for making the move.
No, it's a sense of entitlement that a lot of, especially that position, brings. Like, you haven't produced. AB, they dealt with it in Pittsburgh for years because the dude produced. Like, you had one 1,000-yard season, 1,000-yard season, and all of a sudden now you're sitting here running your mouth, being a toxic presence in the
If you
locker
watch
room.
tape, you make the argument
So-
that he would have had 1,000 all 3 years had somebody gotten him the ball. Give me the ball.
Every receiver can make that argument, but at the end of the
true.
day, he's not a very good route runner. He has good hands, so you're going to go ahead. You need a very accurate quarterback, so maybe something will happen with Dak. But I tend, like I said, believe in Tomlin, and I'm trying to think of one Pittsburgh player that left Pittsburgh and got better, and I can't think of one.
Pickens this coming season. Now, what I will say is this: if you're still tuning in now, first of all,
Pickens
thank you.
this upcoming season.
Thank you so much for being tuned in. This is Florida Man Sports, streaming on all major platforms. We are trying to get to 100 subscribers on Facebook, so we will be live on Facebook. So if you're watching us from the other platforms, please jump on there, like and share. We definitely appreciate it. Johnny Cinco, let's put a bow on this because it is Florida Man Sports, talking about the Bucs, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars. Derek Carr retired out of nowhere. Don't tell me you heard about it. It came out of nowhere. What are your thoughts on the retirement? Obviously, this only helps the Bucs, right?
Well, it helps them because
Right?
every team in the division got better, with the exception of the Saints. But Kellen Moore is an outstanding coach. I tend to think that right now that they regret not pulling that trigger on Sanders. Not that I think Sanders is going to be some phenomenal, quarterback, but it gives you an option. It gives you a something that's happening there. Because right now with New Orleans, they got a couple guys here.
The three amigos.
They drafted out of Louisville Tyler Slow, typical pocket passer. He's 6'5". The guy's a beast, rocket arm. But he's 25, going to be 26 when the season starts.
Yeah.
And traditionally, players that old, I should say old, but when you drafted that old, they haven't really worked out. You have Rattler, which we've seen plenty of last season, and to know that he's going to be a lifetime backup. So I don't really want to hear anything else on that. But Kellen Moore would have loved to have seen, Hayner is the other quarterback they have, and I forgot his name because everybody forgets who he is. Nobody knows who he is. So basically 3 quarterbacks that you have a rookie, a couple other quarterbacks that nobody has seen enough to know that nothing's going to come from them. So it would have been nice for them to go ahead and maybe draft him. So I'm going to propose something, Chris. Most people won't even think about this, but Cleveland obviously has 5 quarterbacks on their roster right now. They're not going to carry 4 of them because one quarterback is going to be out all next year with his Achilles injury there. But they're not going to carry 4. I doubt they'll carry 2, maybe 1.
Oh, they're carrying 3.
I don't think they're going to carry 3. At the most, they'll carry 3, which still means they need to cut 1. They traded for Pickett. They went ahead and signed Flacco. So they have the 2 guys there. Now, the kid out of Oregon is a better quarterback. He's just a better quarterback in college there. So to think that he's going to go ahead and take a back seat to Sanders is to do something ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe the Saints should offer a 3rd round for Sanders.
So even though they didn't do it in the draft, you're saying for them to do
just
it now.
Lick your wounds and take your lumps.
You're very close in your thought process. What the real question, the real problem is Carr, if you were going to retire, why didn't you tell us before the draft?
I'm sure it's something he was mulling over.
We're just a few weeks. I'm sure timing, maybe, possibly. But I'm going to say something else that maybe we're not really thinking about. Maybe you diehard Buck fans are thinking about this. I don't know that this necessarily helps the Bucs because we know one thing about Tampa. We let subpar quarterbacks look really good sometimes. And so my fear is that that's going to happen when we see them. We're still going to win the division. We're still going to win 10, 11 games, but it's just something to look out for because it's always been that way for whatever reason. We got a great quarterback. We play great defense. We have a bad quarterback against us, and we give up a lot of yards. So,
well, I don't think that pertains to what we're discussing right now. At the end of the day, I don't think Sanders is going to make it through preseason. It's not because I don't think he's going to be a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's going to be that great, but it's a possible. If he's in the right situation, right coordinator, right coach, right organization, maybe. But that organization, Chris, is not the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns is where your career goes to die. Cleveland Browns is to where, for some people, your career doesn't even get to begin. Man, it dies before it starts there.
I watched the movie NFL Draft, and it says something different. So I don't know what you're talking about.
So I think that since this is more than likely a quarterback, they're going to end up having to go ahead and release some point in the preseason. get something back. You paid a 5th rounder for him. So if a team's willing to give you a 3rd, even a 4th round, you made out well. Just go ahead and do that. Trade him, get rid of him now. So I think a 4th rounder would do it, but why wait? Go ahead and the Saints, now this happened, it caught you off guard. Go ahead and give up a 3rd rounder next season. Pick up Sanders, put him on your roster. Kellen Moore, his offense, the spread offense there, to where it's a lot of dump passes, and then it's one deep threat. It's exactly the type of offense that Sanders ran in college. I think they may work out. This may end up being the place where Sanders can work out well. The problem with Sanders, that we talked about it, he had such terrible interviews. I don't know if they want him.
They could have, they would have. And I don't see the Saints backpedaling, putting their tail between their legs
something
now
just happened, Chris.
And going now.
Something
but
just
going
happened.
Now, there's other quarterback options out there that you could pick up or you could sign before you start waving the white flag. And already, talking about the coach, he already said.
Who else is available?
He already said, Johnny, that there's going to be a QB battle between the 3. So there's already a QB
what
battle
else
there.
is he going to say?
But what you're saying is, oh, now throw in another quarterback. Stop it. It's not going to happen. Bottom line is, it's the 3 amigos, and the Bucs hopefully will be better off for it, which is the most important thing.
Bottom line is that we've already seen 2 of these quarterbacks for the New Orleans, and those 2 are terrible. They're lifelong backups, if not out of the league in 3 years. And then we obviously have the rookie. So once the rookie somehow shows up and he ends up being CJ, ends up being something Daniels, ends up being something like that, which I don't see, you might as well go ahead and take a flyer on Sanders, Chris. But before we go, Chris, I have to take your take there. Obviously, we have a new pope in place, American Pope, Peruvian Pope. Any chance for Chicago sports now, being that he's from Chicago, that the numbers go for Chicago sports? Are the Bears going to have a good season?
I don't know, but I just find it how everybody, I find it funny how everybody correlates that with sports. Yeah. Everybody, like the Cubs, everything. But you know what? I will tell you this, if like the Bears, right, start winning and they're like 12, 13 wins, you're just going to see it all on social media. The Pope has, everything to do with the Bears' success. So I'm excited. It's funny. I'm excited to see that.
I do give the Bears 2 additional wins based just on the fact that a Pope coming from Chicago happened before the Chicago Bears produced a 4,000-yard QB. So things can happen. So, and God's mercy, hopefully it works through them, and we'll see what happens on that. But we appreciate you guys watching.
I know you're about to wrap up the show. Before you do, folks, this is Florida Man Sports. Start with Florida teams and then everything else in the NFL. Give us the feedback, right? We can take it. We're big boys. Let us know what you want to hear. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, I appreciate you guys watching. We're available anywhere you guys listen to podcasts, outside, of course, YouTube. So we appreciate you guys. Later.
We out.